Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
Good evening. Welcome everybody to our Tuesday, October 8th Sioux Falls City Council meeting. It's our last day of fall. Winter comes this week. That's a joke, but it sounds like it. One more. We got a small but mighty team tonight, so clerk will go ahead and read the roll, please.
Council members Kiley, Neitzert,
Here.
Selberg, Sale,
Here.
Starr,
Here.
Staley, Brecky, Erickson.
All right, tonight we have a guy that I love to do our invocation tonight, Jerry Fogg here. Jerry's with the Yankton Sioux tribe, and Jerry's actually, a lot of times we give our invocation from up front here. Jerry has a little bit of more special ceremony. He's going to do it up front there. So, Jerry, welcome. Glad to have you back. So, would you like us to stand, Jerry, or stay seated?
In a little bit here.
Sounds good. Thanks for being here.
Pidama to the council for allowing me to be here again. My Indian name, Lunashi Tanaka Bogos, I come from a long line of warriors way back, which I pride myself in. And, the off-blood has gotten in there now, you see, so I'm just trying to cope with myself in my own life. But in the tradition of our people, when we talk among ourselves, met meetings, and held council, we offered tobacco. And when we met the Caucasians who come and we signed treaties, we offered tobacco. So in that tradition, I will offer tobacco. I will offer to the four directions. We start with west, which is the color black. We go to the north, which is the color red. We go to the east, which is the color yellow. And we go to the south, which is the color white. And we offer to Father Sky, Mother Earth. With that being done, then we cleanse the room. You said the alarms were off, right?
The fire alarms are off.
We got a thing we call smudging. We smudge for weddings, birth, ceremonies, events. And it's basically a purifying way of doing things. It purifies the room, purifies individuals. Basically what we would do is we would go to each individual and they would take the smoke. But I got a blind date tonight, I'm in a hurry. And then we bring the truth among ourselves. Because what we decide here every day and every time affects us all in the future. And now I will say a little prayer if you stand in respect of your own belief. Thank you again for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, Jerry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, Jerry, for leading us in that tonight. All right, we have a couple citizen recognition awards tonight, so we'll go ahead and Councilor Neitzert will join me up front for those.
Well, good evening. My name is Greg Neitzert. I'm Vice Chair of the City Council. It's my pleasure to present the Superhero Awards to two very deserving recipients. Our first recipient is Charlie and Carol Childerston. Would you please come forward? Welcome. And we have a little narrative here we're going to read. Charlie and Carol Childerston were nominated by the Furniture Mission, where they have volunteered almost 5 days a week for the last 10 years. Charlie works in the woodshop building bed frames, toddler beds, and fixing furniture. He also picks up donated furniture for the agency and is a member of the Furniture Mission's board of directors. Carol works in the Furniture Mission's office, where she schedules furniture deliveries, answers the phone, greets and cares for clients, and organizes volunteers for mailings and Saturday morning deliveries. It's been said by the mission that they basically make the organization run. Charlie and Carol, the Furniture Mission, and the Sioux Falls community are endlessly grateful for you sharing your time and for being an example as true superheroes in our community. Thank you for your generosity and your service. Thank you very much. All right, I would invite Regan Smith, our emergency manager, up, who's going to receive an award on behalf of the employees of the City of Sioux Falls. On Tuesday, September 10th, 2019, our city confronted 3 F2 tornadoes, the first time in 30 years that a tornado had touched down in Sioux Falls. The destruction in the wake of this storm was considerable, but thankfully, no lives were lost. As so often we see with tragedy, the determination and fortitude of our citizens and city employees always shine through the remnants of destruction. 2 days after the storm, we received a nomination from Joe Dalton, who said, "Today, I had the blessing of the City of Sioux Falls employees going the extra mile in helping residents working together to clean up some of the devastation. I thank our God for them and want to give them a public pat on the back affirmation as well as a thank you." A key line in Joe's nomination was working together, resident, business person, volunteer, and city employee. Working together is what makes our community and our neighborhood stronger. Henry Ford very eloquently stated, "Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." For those who work for our city, our superheroes, thank you. And I believe Regan wants to say a few words, and we're going to let him do that.
Yeah, if I could say a few things. I gratefully accept this on behalf of all city employees, the support of residents, the city council, the mayor, and the administration really mean a lot during those tough times. I would say, this isn't just a city effort, as Joe said. This was a community-wide effort. Neighbors, residents, volunteers, businesses, city contractors, nonprofits, churches, the colleges, hospitals, Xcel Energy, state inmates, state agencies, county agencies, all came together when we needed to, and that's what really makes it great to live here in Sioux Falls. So again, this isn't just a city thing. Everybody really came together when it mattered. So thanks so much to the rest of the community, and thanks to Joe too for thinking of us. Appreciate it.
Let's get a picture here.
All right, thank you, Councilor Neitzert. We'll move on now to our agenda for the evening, the rest of the agenda, I should say. Item number 5 is our consent agenda. Look for any changes or motions there.
Move approval, Neitzert.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion approved by Councilor Neitzert, seconded by Sale. Any discussion, Council? All right, we'll take a vote on that, please.
Councilors Neitzert,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr. Yes. Staley.
Yes.
Brecky.
Yes.
All right, that passes 5-0. We're now on to item 11, which is our regular agenda. Look for a motion to approve that.
Move to approve, Brecky.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion approved by Brecky and seconded by Councilor Sale. Any discussion on that one, Council? All right, we'll take a vote on that, please.
Councilors Neitzert,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr. Staley.
Yes.
Brecky.
Yes.
All right, that passes 5-0. Now we are on to our general public input portion of our agenda tonight. As a reminder, input during this portion will last no more than 3 minutes per person. In total, lasts no more than 30 minutes. During general public input, the public is welcome to speak on any topic that does not appear later on in the agenda. For regular agenda items following general public input, comments are limited to 3 minutes unless the item is being presented for final adoption, in which case public input is limited to 5 minutes. For all regular agenda items, comments are limited to the agenda item under consideration only. At this time, I'd like to invite members of the public forward. For general public input, clerk, please note our time right now is 7:11. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. These pictures represent all of the city staff.
Can you state your name, please?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Cher Rosadeh Sharon. The pictures here represent the city staff that I meet each day. I wanted to be here a few weeks ago to share the message of appreciation to all of the City Council and the staff, and to let them know that they are our real heroes. And I think someone and I had the same conversation in spirit, who make our city run day by day. I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you. No one ever truly knows if you will wake up one day and lose everything that you ever owned, and a natural disaster, and this has happened to me. This is my daughter, Lily, and I'm truly thankful that nobody was hurt. Lily and I are still looking for a home, and ironically, we may find the home right next door. I also wanted to say a special thank you to Charlie and Carol at the Furniture Mission. In my hand, I carry the cross that they gave me and have set me up for a referral. Thank you especially, Mr. Mayor, for your personal interest in me and my apartment friends, who we were all displaced. Through the 211 referrals in your office, I must say that all of my needs financially have been met for my transition, and I am excited to find a place called home. I want to leave you with some words that I saw above a city employee, and it says, "Unexpected kindness is the most powerful tool, least costly, and most underrated agent of human kindness." Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to the staff, to all of the City Council. I appreciate the kindness and the generosity from all of our community that has helped me through this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Good evening.
Greetings. I'm David Zokaitis. I think you know that by now. And I've got a couple of related topics. But if ever I stand up here and don't have my facts right, let me know, please. Because, you know, I don't want to say anything that's wrong. I'd like to get everything right. If I screw it up, let me know. In a construction process, every step should be done competitively. And depending upon who screws things up, well, that affects who should pay for it. It's not the city's job to pay for every problem all the time. Now, there's some suspicious stuff going on with the new administration building. Well, like, why did we ignore cheaper alternatives? And why is it hard to get information on selection criteria and who picked the builder? That kind of stuff has been notoriously difficult to get out of the youth administration. And why did the city ignore the citizens' petition? It all just looks really bad. And then there's this ventilation system that failed. Well, the city paid for it maybe to expedite things, but that's not the way it should stay. And supposedly you're pursuing some legal remedy, but a year and a half after occupancy should have been done by now. So again, it all just looks really bad. And then there's the third floor. Well, you know, it's okay to complete it, but why was that $1.5 million buried in a separate document in the consent agenda? Why was there no competition? Why is the building contract open a year and a half after occupancy? Again, it all just looks bad. So, on a more positive note, I'm recommending some changes to how we do the consent agenda. I'd like to see the councilors get the consent agenda about a week early so they can look it over, and any of them should be able to move one item from the consent agenda to the regular agenda without a vote. Make life a little more transparent. And the public's printed agenda should have a little more information so we have a better idea what's going on. Transparency, efficiency, good plan. I always like to end with a nice picture and some uplifting message. You always should check out the Hong Kong protests. Outstanding, months and months of protests. And they use words from our country for inspiration. Really outstanding. And with that, I bid everybody a good evening.
All right, thank you, David. Anyone else here for public input this evening? All right, council, we'll move on to our next item.
Item 13 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by revising Chapter 111, restrictions on issuance of malt beverage retailer licenses.
Councilor Brecky, you're going to speak to this item tonight. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Fellow council members, I will be brief. I was before you just a couple of weeks ago with an amendment to this particular ordinance with the hope of resolving this issue. Apparently there was a problem during implementation, and so all of us got together, and with the city attorney's office help, with the casino operator's help, we fixed the problem. I asked the city attorney's office to draft the language that would allow implementation to occur without any problems, and that's what you have before us. It really is a simple fix. It just needs to delete the language "and in the areas where alcohol is not stored." What that translates into that makes the fix is that once we do this, now we can operate in Sioux Falls just like the rest of the state is operating in following the State Lottery Commission's lead on this issue. So we will no longer be unique. We will simply, be subject to the way the state lottery runs this, the video lottery operations. So it's a simple fix. I apologize to the council for having to bring it back a second time, but sometimes that happens. In the implementation process, there was some discussions that were had that came into effect that, we just didn't foresee. So, quick fix, would like to get things back on track. No real substantive change. This is what we were trying to accomplish. This will just help us actually accomplish it.
All right.
Any questions?
We'll take public input, and then we can, we'll move into questions that they might have for you, Councilor Brecky. So is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this item tonight? All right, councilors, do you have any questions for Councilor Brecky? Councilor Staley.
Well, I've got a question for our staff member, Butch Warrington. Can we ask that now?
Sure.
And he
sure.
was.
Come on up, Butch.
So, yeah, this still seems somewhat vague as to why we're bringing this back. And my understanding in discussions with Jeff Eckhoff today is that apparently some people were thinking they could use the bar itself as part of the wall. And
this
so maybe
does-
you can elaborate on this, Butch, a
Butch
little.
Warrington, Chief Building Official. What we did was when it came out, we had some concerns. And this was where it said where alcohol is not stored, that you could have an opening. So now, the way it's going to be, and I'll do this as simple as we possibly can, you can have a wall to separate the two bars. It will go through the bar to a back wall, and then you are allowed a 48 by 80 opening behind the bar where the alcohol is stored. That way you can, it's all about safety, where one person can serve both bars without having to go around or anything like that. So it's all about safety for that person.
Thank you, Butch. Are there any other questions? Counselor Neitzer?
So very basically, the verbiage that you saw and the building plan that you saw, you couldn't get those to harmonize. I mean, that's,
Because it said where alcohol is stored. Well, behind the bar, that's where alcohol is stored, so I couldn't have that opening there. Now without that, we can have that opening there.
okay, I just want to be real clear that you have looked this change over, somebody has, and that with this change, whatever was submitted is going to be permitted.
Yes.
So we're not going into 3.0 or so, anything.
Nope. I think this is a good change and we'll make it work.
Okay.
Thank you, Butch. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Staley?
So, Butch, and I made my own little diagram here. I did go to Deuce's Casino with Counselor Neitzer a few years ago. So my understanding with how it was is that we have two casinos next to each other, two different buildings, two different areas within one rooftop, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then there was a front door that each one of them had, and that what was happening, and then they had this cooler that was shared in the way it's been. No entrance within the building. So the one employee was having to go outside and into the next door to take care of that other business.
Yes.
Right? And then apparently they were maybe transporting cash there as well?
I have no idea.
Or
on
what,
that
so
end of it.
it was unsafe for that person to be going in between the buildings. So in essence, one business is going to be without a employee at any given time.
Yes.
Right? And apparently, we're saying, that's state laws allowing two businesses, one employee, alcohol in each business, right?
Yep.
Video lottery, there's 10 terminals in each one, right? Maximum 10, I believe. So we've got a vacancy issue, which is why I had a problem with this to start with. And as I explained it to people that we're allowing this to happen, and we're forced to be, apparently we have to approve this because state law says we have to, right?
I can't answer
You can't,
that
okay.
question.
So now, what we're going to do is we're going to allow them to have, we got the cooler, and then there's going to be a little doorway next to the cooler, is that right?
Yep, in a non-public accessible area.
But the bar area itself is not going to be open? There's going to have to be two bars?
The people will not be able to use this opening. This is just strictly for the working people.
But are they going to be able to mix a drink and hand it over to the area that's not going to be opened?
No, that will not be open.
All right, Counselor Neitzer?
I should mention for the general public, a little history I think would help. A few years back, this was just before we got on the council, the last council passed an ordinance which essentially created a requirement of a solid wall, pretty much period, end of issue, no exceptions, which was, in my opinion, legally dubious, as this may be as well. I probably shouldn't say that, but it probably is. But the interesting thing is, if you look at these rules, the administrative rules, the Lottery Commission dictates all of this. So essentially, we put up this rule where we said you have to have a completely solid wall. We found out that it really was creating problems. So now we're trying to undo it again and go back. And I totally support this, but The interesting thing is that all of this that we're debating, state law is already covering with administrative rule. It's all there. It talks about all of these things about openings and doors and all of these different things. So we're hemming and hawing, and we're going to get ourselves sued if we don't figure this thing out. I mean, so we need to get this thing done. I mean, we're probably preempted, and we're sitting here making rules about it. So it's time to get it done.
All right.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may say one more statement, that this, talking about getting sued, I remember when we got elected in 2016, we were talking about passing some legislation, in which this wouldn't reference you, but we were saying we had to come up with some new standards for our, how we treated people, transgender people. I mean, we had to put more bite into how we handle people that were sexually discriminated against. And we made a decision. I mean, we said we're not going to go there. Our city doesn't always do everything that everybody else does. So this issue came up under a different council, and it was a 4-4 vote not to go this route. The mayor, Huther, broke the tie not to go this route. So, we didn't get sued at that time. So that's why I am having a hard time, putting my arms around this thing now, because I think if you have 2 separate businesses, you should have 2 separate employees in those businesses. So anyway, that's all I have to say. And I like the color of your shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions for Butch, let's get a motion on the floor on this one, which would be to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, October 15.
Move to approve, Brecky.
Second, Nitzert.
All right, motion to set that date by Councilor Brecken, seconded by Nitzert. Council, discussion amongst the body here?
One more statement,
Councilor Steele?
please. I am going to vote to put this to a second reading just because I think that's out of courtesy for the people who will propose this. But I will not be supporting it on second reading.
All right, I'll call for a vote then, please.
Council members Nitzert,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Staley,
Yes.
Brecky.
Yes.
All right, that item passes 5-0. We'll move on to item 14.
A resolution authorizing the city of Sioux Falls to give certain utility vehicles to Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dean Borkert with the Office of Public Works. This resolution before you gifts 2 John Deere Gators that were surplus from the city of Sioux Falls to Minnehaha County to be forwarded to the Sioux Empire Fair for their use. Julie Hammer is here from the Sioux Empire Fair if you do have any questions for her or if you have questions for me as well.
All right, thanks, Dean. Anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight? Councilors, do you have any questions for Dean on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Starr?
Yes, Dean, just quickly, were these gators part of the ones that were flooded and as part of the flood damage?
They were not. No, these were vehicles that were just surplused through normal attrition. That's a 2005 and a 2010 that were used with our Parks Department.
Gotcha. That's what was my follow-up, was which department had them. So thank you.
Other questions for Dean on this one, Council? All right, and look for a motion on this.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second, Nitzert.
You got it. All right, motion approved by Councilor Brecky, seconded by Nitzert. Is there a discussion, Council? All right, we'll take a vote on this one, please.
Council members Nitzert,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Staley,
Yes.
Brecky.
Yes.
All right, that item passes 5-0. Next item, please.
A resolution authorizing the city of Sioux Falls to give sandbags to Mapleton Township and the cities of Del Rapids and Brandon, South Dakota.
It's Christmas in Sioux
Mary,
Falls.
a 2-for-1 special.
All right.
Dean Borkert with the Office of Public Works. You all should have received an email regarding this. These items were given out to these communities with the storm event and the flood events. This just allows us as a city to remove them from our assets and surpluses them.
All right. Thanks, Dean. Anyone from the public here to speak on this one tonight? All right, Council, do you have any questions for Dean on this one? Look for a motion.
Move to approve, Brecky.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion approved by Brecky, seconded by Sale. Any discussion? We will take a vote.
Councilmembers Nitzert,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr, Staley,
Yes.
Brecky.
Yes.
All right, that passes 5-0. Any new business tonight, councilors?
Move to adjourn, Star.
Second, Nitzert?
All right, motion adjourned by Starr, seconded by Nitzert. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. We are adjourned. Have a good night.